story, however, does not end there. Like Cuba, the subsequent Philippine revolutions proved successful and removed European Spaniards from all positions of authority.
So, what could be the allusions, Nana?
First, interestingly, in order to produce national solidarity as a viable response to the Spanish imperial agenda, the two writers similarly turned to the manifesto form. Marti intended the manifesto for his plans of revolution in Cuba, while Rizal would use the manifesto to conceptualize his Sandakan project. Marti's Manifesto de Montecristi seeks to underscore the history of injustice committed by the Spanish colonizers and to produce an urgent call for independence. He explains what is necessary to embark on a new struggle of resistance in the present and how a free republic should be built in the future. A similar emphasis on temporalities can be perceived in Filipinas dentro de 100 años, where Rizal analyzes the colonial past and present of the Philippines in order to contemplate the possible future that may await the country. Their texts similarly highlight the importance of imagining a national community capable of resisting the imperial power. And second, both Cuba and Philippines were under the colonies of Spain. Rizal and Marti knew exactly how it is like under the same umbrella. In fact, Marti briefly talked about the Philippines in at least 4 articles in his regular column in La Nación of Buenos Aires newspaper. José Rizal associated in a Solidaridad in Madrid, Spain, which was founded by Filipinos, Cubans, and Puerto Ricans alike. The interactions in various Masonic lodges suggest that an important element of the linkage between Cuba and the Philippines is drawn not so much from their anarchist allies, but from the liberal ideology developed and encouraged by Freemasons. The connection seemed evidenced when Rizal offered his services as physician in Cuba when the war broke out, which was led by Marti. It turned out that Rizal's hidden motive was to study and learn something from the Cuban anti-colonial struggle. In fact, he wrote Antonio Luna that Borneo, where he had planned to settle, could be our Cayo Hueso. Now called Key West, Cayo Hueso was then the haven of Cuban revolutionaries.
Geographically, Cuba, considered as Spanish Caribbean, and Philippines, the Spanish archipelago in Asia, share a common history when perceived within the broad picture of the 19th century Hispanic world.
Third, Asian archipelago and the Caribbean island illuminates that they equally belong to the Hispanic imperialist trajectory and would suggest that they could communicate in circuit through Trans-Pacific. In fact, the letter exchanges between the Filipino Mariano Ponce and the Cuban Jose Alberto Izquierdo show that they not only shared similar anti-colonial ideologies, but also manifested reciprocal support for each other's struggle for independence. Interestingly, what Jose Rizal considered to be his Key West shares similar characteristics with Jose Marti's Key West of his own. Although Key West is officially part of the state of Florida in the United States, it was practically feasible for Marti to traverse the island and stay there because US and Cuba didn't have any specific or significant conflicts with each other. The same is true with Sandakan in North Borneo. Pryor, who was a resident of the place, supports Rizal's idea of settling there and building of a Filipino colony. Precisely because England has made a protectorate there, they didn't exercise considerable control over the area, which makes Rizal's plan of settlement feasible as well. From his exile in Spain, Marti traversed westward and landed to New York City, which is approximately 2,162 kilometers north of Cuba, and where he spent most of his time planning for the Cuban Revolution. But occasionally, he would go to Key West to join the Cuban exile community. Also, Key West is situated very near to Cuba, just 530 kilometers northwest. It is fascinating to know that Marti did not choose a farther place of refuge. He chose a rather adjacent Key West. On the other hand, Rizal had to flee from the Philippines because of the danger the circulation of noli me tangere in the Philippines might bring him. He then goes to Hong Kong, which is approximately 1,318 kilometers north of the Philippines. There, he formulated the Sandakan project. Just as Marti formulated his plans for the Cuban Revolution in a place very far from his country, Rizal also planned for the Sandakan project in as far north as Hong Kong. Similarly, Rizal chose a rather immediate place of refuge in Sandakan, which is approximately 879 kilometers southwest.